Well, first of all, the mime troupe does not do silent mime. Definition of mime is actually the exaggeration of everyday life in story and song. It's an ancient form. You can talk, you can sing, you can dance, you can jump around all you want. Silent mime is a type of mime that everybody knows about. It's become the famous one. The troupe started in 1959. R.G. Davis started it as a class, really, as a workshop on how to take these ancient forms of both silent mime and traditional speaking and singing mime and kind of infuse them with politics. How can you use really entertaining forms to get these ideas across, using entertainment as kind of the delivery system for the politics. In San Francisco at that period, in the end of the 50s, beat movement's happening, civil rights movement is happening, and so RG has this idea of creating a new form of theater that is overtly political, but primarily entertaining. And so we've continued to develop that idea. After a few years, the company introduced more and more music. So we're really a theater where we do musical comedy, musical dramas.
The role of music in mime troupe performances is there's kind of several different roles to it. Number one is the most obvious way is that we usually do shows that are musicals. And what makes a show musical is that at certain points characters sing songs. And there's kind of different ways that can happen. Sometimes you have someone singing a song because they're feeling emotions in a certain way and they're alone on stage and they're talking about, oh, I love this person so much. Doesn't usually happen in our shows so much, but at times. And then you can also have times where people are singing to advance the plot along or to talk to the audience and provide a little more information about something. In addition, we also have live underscoring, and that basically means that during the course of the show we sort of have a soundtrack running underneath. And sometimes it's kind of basic music that emphasizes the mood, and other times we have things that are specifically attached to actions on stage. Like someone gets hit by a frying pan, we have a certain sound. Somebody has a good idea, we have a certain sound. Somebody gets rejected, we have a certain sound. There's an ominous thing about to happen, we have a certain sound for that sort of thing.
But like I tell people, it's like singing a Broadway musical, only it has a point. Each year we write a new show. We do a new show about whatever we feel like is important for the workers that year. What is the message that we want to get across? This year the show is Posibilidad, or Death of the Worker. And it's a two-part story. One part takes place in the United States, and it's based on a lot of true stories here, where during this last economic downturn, people would go bankrupt. They just, oh, sorry, we don't have any money, we can't pay you anymore. You're not even going to get 2 weeks notice. You're out, because we don't have any dough, because they gambled on the stock market. And workers that have taken these opportunities sometimes to say, well, how can we keep employed? And so it turned out that in South America, they had gone through the economic downturn that we've gone. They just experienced it earlier. And what did the workers do there? And all of these workers, when bosses would literally come in, take all the money out of a safe, put them in suitcases and take off, and the workers would say, well, we're simply not closing. We occupied this place. Posibilidad, or Death of the Worker, is about two stories. One is a factory takeover that happens in Argentina, and a factory takeover in the United States, and how the workers in both places do things differently because of their cultures, because of their needs, but also because of their expectations. And what does it take for the workers to really make that last leap from fighting for a place at the table to fighting for the table, you know?
Could we do that?
Could we?
There is nothing in this mill we do not know how to do.
Except get paid too much and steal from the workers.
Chef!
This place was built with our labor and the labor of my parents. And he just abandons it? But this mill does not belong to El Patron anymore. It is ours, and we will run it ourselves. Throw out my days. I have seen shattered promises and echoes of hopes that were led astray. With all my soul, I have prayed that my child might know
The effect that I would like this show to have on our audience is to remind people that they are not at the mercy of forces greater than themselves, but they actually have a lot of power if they do decide to come together and, as I said, take control of the means of production. I think that this can be a very empowering message.
This is our struggle.
We've lost the sense of workers owning their labor and a respect for labor. And that's one of the things that we really want to get across in the show also, is the respect that this country has lost for the laborer. This idea that wealth is created by investors and by bankers and by all these people who just deal with money and just deal with paper, forgetting that at base it is the people who actually make things that make this country, that make any economy.
I own the building, I own the land, I own the trademark, I own the brand, I own all the things made by your hand, a simple thing to understand. Men like me, we're a special breed, we fill a role you will always need. We live a life you kill to lead, the fattened calf you love to feed. What would you poor people do without the rich to take care of you? We pull the strings behind the scenes.
At this critical moment in American history where our economy crashed, just like it did in Argentina, just like it did in Brazil, and just like it did in Peru, how are we going to rebuild this? And are we going to rebuild our economy doing the same things that got us in this problem in the first place? Or are we going to re-examine it and say, well, maybe we shouldn't trust the jerks who ripped us off last time?
The lives you dream of, you'll never find. That's not the way the world's designed.
I think with us, we really want to get out there and do theater for people who maybe haven't seen a play in a long time. Or maybe their idea of when they hear musical, they think of like Guys and Dolls, or My Fair Lady, or something like that. But what we're trying to do is something that's current, that resonates with people, that it's not boring, that moves fast, that's energetic, that pushes boundaries and makes people think. And I think if you just play for the theater audience, that's a really small percentage of people. And we're not creating theater for theater people. We're creating theater for people who want to think and challenge and think about how we can make this country better.
We want to reintroduce art as an important aspect of the struggle of the working class. When we look back to those glorious days in the 30s, when the union movement was really kind of coming into its own, and the plays that were written by Clifford Odets, by Eugene O'Neill, this movement of taking plays from town to show to the workers, the living newspaper work, all of these things to say, this is your struggle. You're not going to see this everywhere. You're not going to see this in the corporate media. You're not going to see this necessarily in films. But we need to use art as a way for the working class to speak to the working class.
I'll find another job soon.
Of course you will.
And if not, my cousin back in Luzon says there's an American factory opening in town. It's weird. My parents came all this way from Manila to America for jobs, so I'd be born in the land of opportunity. Just a factory job. Now all the stuff is made back there. They could have saved the airfare.
I think this is a very valuable thing for unions across the country to bring us into their theaters, to their union halls, wherever. Just give us a space to set up our stage and perform, because this is a conversation starter. And it's not only that, but it's a great way to get union members together for fellowship, to come together and watch something, watch characters and ideas that they identify with, and to get a conversation started or to continue a conversation about labor in the United States in the 21st century.